Welcome to the Bear Collective podcast, where we meet you at the edge of what you know and dance with you into the depths of what you don't. On all things personal development, relationships, and lifestyle. We empower you to take what you need and leave what you don't. Thank you for listening, watching, and subscribing. So let's get into today's episode.
Got a bit of a reflective one today.
Yeah, love it. So 10 life lessons that we are going to share with you. And neither of us have heard the others. So this could be really interesting, really experimental today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just reflecting on kind of the past 12 months. It's not like a complete, my entire life is wrapped up into these lessons.
That'd be like hours of your time, guys.
Absolutely. That's a book. That's a book.
Maybe more, maybe a series.
Yeah. You want to kick it off?
Who knows? All right. I think one that took me so long to uncondition myself from, and I might even still be working on this, so it's kind of raw and fresh, is that you don't need to be rescued by a man. Like you are your own damn savior.
Yeah.
And I think I'm a Disney princess. I love Disney movies. Would have loved to work there. Offer me jobs, please.
Yeah.
I was so into that whole concept of damsel in distress, Prince coming along, Prince takes care of it all. And I'm a businesswoman now. I'm taking care of it. And I think it's taken me a long time to let go of that conditioned model of who I thought I was going to be.
Yeah, so powerful.
Yeah, love that one.
So it's powerful. I feel like we're going to say this almost every episode, but I feel like that's an episode.
It is an episode. Yes, let's do it.
Yeah, super interesting. I definitely can say that I resonate with that one.
Yeah. What's one for you?
My first one is to curate your consumption.
Please explain.
I think that in today's world, we have just gone into a place where, with social media being so accessible, but even in business, we can often go into an overload of deciding, I'm going to explore XYZ topic, whether it's beginning of the year and health, and you want to get fitness motivation, and you go and follow all these people on social media about that particular topic, and you can just get so overwhelmed with that consumption and the different perspectives around how to do the thing, right? How to lose weight, how to work out, what's right for you. This person says this, that this person says that. It can actually leave you in so much overwhelm, which I had found myself in all the conflicting opinions and advice, and not actually connecting back into what works for me.
Yes.
So it was very disconnecting. I think also in a space of when you're researching, when you're working with kind of a coach or a mentor, it's really finding someone who's aligned to you, and again, not following all this kind of 100 of them. So through social media, how many people that's a challenge for you. How many people are you following and curating? Because we also spend so much time on it. Yeah. And that's what can take us down that rabbit hole. And it really tidied that up for me. My energy feels so much cleaner. I feel much more intentional and purposeful in alignment with what I'm doing, what I'm consuming, and I feel so much more connected to my body. Yeah. Again, this is not just related to social media, but also outside of social media. Yeah. Again,
TV,
books, people,
the radio, the news,
people.
Yes. People.
What are you consuming? What are you consuming?
Yeah. Those that you spend your most time with, it's, it rubs off.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm interested. I got a flashback as you were saying that to a friend who asked me, do you follow so-and-so influencer on social media? And I was like, I really had a reflective moment and was like, I don't know that I follow many social influencers. And I did have a moment of go me. Yeah, go me. As much as they have a place, and I totally respect it. But yeah, just for me at that time, it was really I did not want any of that influence. It definitely changes over time.
Yeah. I remember working with my coach, and she posed the question to me one time of, if you held, from a business lens, all the people that you follow, if say you follow 2,000 people, 3,000 people, 5,000 people, which there are people who do this. Yeah. Can you actually hold that amount of people in a room and like actually speak to them in your present state with what you know. And a lot of people would find if you really sit with that question, it would be so dysregulating to your
Yes.
system.
Yes.
And you would be in the kind of the fake it till you make it, you know, really fear-based, that you won't actually be connecting and resonating with your audience.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, you're
So,
wearing a mask. You're not authentically
yeah,
being you in that
correct.
place. Yeah, I
And
feel that.
we're here to be authentic, right?
Yes. Well, we want to be.
We are being. And that's an evolution, right? It's
Yeah.
revealing and removing those layers and those masks to get more into your full expression.
Yeah.
So that was something that really helped me. I found that, again, the flip side of that was that you can get so easily overwhelmed by advice, especially, you know, Dr. Google, right? If you go to Dr. Google at any time of the day or night, again, conflicting opinions, conflicting advice, that it often leaves you more confused,
Yeah.
more disconnected from your own thinking, your own self-awareness, your own body.
Yeah.
And yeah, into a states of reactive kind of like overwhelm or, you know, binging.
And then you get
consumption of
stuck
it.
and you can't decide.
Yeah.
You don't know
Yeah.
what choice to make for yourself
no
anymore.
clarity.
Yeah.
So yeah, consumption. Clean it up is my challenge to you.
It's a good one. All right. My next one is just like, and I think this is simple, but just the importance of slowing down.
Oof.
Oh, it took me so long to actually do. And like just through my life being in this really fast-paced state of what's the next thing? What's the next thing? How can I do this? How can I build this? Then I'm going to add this. Then what am I doing? You know, and we even do that with life. Like it's that typical trajectory of like meet the guy or girl, like get married, have kids, then what? Like
yeah, live all the big moments in like the first kind of like 10 to 30 years of your life.
Yes. Yeah. And then what are you left with? So for me, just having that, we've got a really excited friend to show up here, my dog Saver, licking the microphone. Yeah, we really just have to slow down. And I think for me, you know, that took a lot of different things, but even just slowing down the speed with which I speak to people. And I'm still trying to be really conscious of that. And
intentional,
and I try to like mirror that to clients. So clients slow down when they're in those really overwhelmed states as well. And even just slowing down the pace of your life, learning to say no to things socially when they are too much, or maybe you've overcommitted. And yeah, I was a very fast-paced person in my 20s and watching it gradually slow down. So it'll be interesting to see how I slow that down in the next phase. Yeah.
I'd have to agree with you. I would say that in my 20s, it's going into that corporate world. For me, it was wanting to learn. There was a hunger, right, to learn and to grow and to get that career.
Yeah, build that career.
And there's a certain energy required with that. And I think some of the wisdom that had come down from the elders was, you know, your 20s is when you've got the energy and when you don't have distractions of, you know, necessarily family or kids, that you can really kind of go hard, you know, in your career. And I would say, yeah, exactly. I just went so hard, but you can actually slow down and be a lot more intentional in building a career. And also intentional, again, it goes back to a little bit, ties in with consumption of those social activities outside. If it doesn't feel aligned, it's okay to say no.
Yeah.
And what are you making it mean about yourself if you don't go?
Yeah.
What are you making it mean about yourself if you don't say yes to that next step, or if you choose something different, you choose to go on a different pathway in your career or a different avenue from your friends, or what
and
you're
are you
influenced
thinking
by.
too much about other people, and why might you be doing that?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Over to you.
What is my next one? What are you choosing to normalize? Huge.
That's such an umbrella.
It is, but it's also very simple. And being, again, it comes down to like being present and intentional. You know, for me, there are these, I do have big aspirations and big visions for my life and the things that I want to do and how I want to live and how I want to serve and all those things. And it's when I'm in rooms with people, and even in the last 12 months, I would say my circle has shrunk a little bit, and I'm really proud of that, because it's what am I choosing to entertain?
Mm.
What are the kind of conversations that I'm having? Are these kind of expansive, or are they actually causing me to feel like I'm playing small, or
Yeah.
bringing down the kind of frequency? So yeah, it's really about like, what are you normalizing? And again, in conversations, it's not to say, again, don't take this the wrong way, it's not to say that you can't have a bad day, that you can't vent in a healthy way to your friend, but
Yeah.
are the conversations productive? Again, are they healthy? Are they expanding you? Are they supporting you in helping you move forward and expand you into what you want to do?
Yeah. I think it can even come down to, what comments you make or thoughts that you have or behaviors that you do, are you normalizing? Like internally, it doesn't even have to be with others as well. So it's a really powerful message.
Yeah, but even I think avenues, so many areas of your life. What are you choosing to normalize with money? What are you choosing to normalize with your health? What are you choosing to normalize with your fitness? What are you choosing to normalize about your self-care? Where are you comparing yourself to what somebody else is doing versus discovering your own? Yeah. Or where are you letting somebody else's limit be your limit and choosing to take that on as a belief? And that's actually where you're hitting a ceiling, and you need to go beyond that to actually break into your next level.
Yeah. Like it. All right.
Loves it.
Something that has been building for me is that the most powerful tool you have, and I say you, but I mean me, this was definitely a personal lesson, is your connection to yourself. I think for so long, and it kind of ties into what we spoke about socially and being really busy and having social connections earlier. Like, there was so much emphasis for me on other people, on my outside connections, including like my outside relationships, like my romantic pursuits. I had so much emphasis on that before I really started to learn who I was. And that having that connection with yourself, how are you authentically showing up anywhere if you don't have that? So I find a lot of importance on that, and it takes a lot of work. It's not like a really simple, just pay attention to yourself. It's like, you've got to pay attention to a lot of those things we've talked about today, like the beliefs, the conditioning, your history, what you listen to, who you spend your time with, like all of these things really tie in.
Yeah, what you choose to normalize about those and what you want to break through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So breaking that down over time. And I think you're meeting with yourself every day. So it could be different every day.
It kind of actually ties into my next one, which is to go all in.
Yeah.
And with that means that you fail, that you make mistakes. And it's being your full expression. It is giving it a go. It is saying, it's not necessarily like just saying everything that comes to your mind. Like, I'm not saying be completely unfiltered, be self-aware, but also express yourself and be aware that you're going to get a response or a reaction. And it is, again, how you navigate through that. Fail fast, fail forward, whether it's in relationships, whether it's in business. And that's about building. It's, for me, one that I have been doing actively, and I'm still presently in that phase within, different spaces of my life. Really just showing up, expressing, seeing what I can actually take away and learn. And it's refining. Instead of going into a self-shame or a self-rejection, it's refining. What is that? This is the response that I got, and I feel a certain way about it. But how can I learn more about myself and fail forward with that and turn it into a success?
And it really highlights the importance of always learning, always paying attention. Not just blindly, autopiloting through life.
And I think another little side note here is being, when we talk about being self-aware, I think that can sometimes have a misconception of being selfish and self-focused. And there's a part of me that I know that I had to deal with, where I was so focused on the care of other people from an empathic perspective, that it was very hard to kind of turn inwards in the beginning and kind of, really tune in to putting myself first in those situations,
Mm.
but in the healthy way of how can I learn about myself? How can I evolve and not go into a shame pit?
Yeah, absolutely. Learning to step into it anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's been doing it.
All right. So this one, another very sort of generalized one without necessarily a personal event or story that happened this year, but the only person getting in your way is you.
Mm,
And I guess it definitely has popped up for me still,
mm,
like this year, even though I've learned it. So that's another thing. It's like you might learn something
mm,
and it might rear its head again and again and again.
same devil, new level.
Exactly. So you
Mm.
just keep relearning, refleshing out,
Yeah.
reevaluating, reanalyzing. But yeah, basically, like, and I guess it ties into my fifth one. So I'm going to bring that up now as
Okay,
well.
sure.
I just,
Go for it.
yeah, they clump together nicely, but like we create the life we want. It doesn't just happen
Mm,
like to us or for us.
mm,
So the way they go together is like you have the power to actually create the life that you want.
mm.
And the only thing that's going to stop you doing that is you.
One of the things I often anchor myself into with that, what you're saying there is this is your one wild and precious
Yeah.
life. Like,
Yeah.
what are you creating?
Yes.
And that's a prompt for me that I always kind of, reflect on and anchor back into.
Yeah. We've got to be our own best cheerleader in that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And create the life we want.
Yes.
Exactly as you said, not just sit on the couch and think, even though we're sitting on the couch and think it's not going to happen. We're creating.
We're
though.
creating
We're
something.
creating.
Yes. Yes. And I know, like, for a lot of people, obviously life
Mhm.
circumstances that can be really, really
Mm.
difficult or really challenging, or it might seem really out of reach, but it's not like you take that huge jump in one day. Like, even building this podcast, like there are
It's incremental.
tiny little steps. Larissa calls them 1%ers
Mm.
that every day or every week or every month you are like chipping away.
Yeah. How are you moving the needle forward in the
Correct.
direction towards what you want?
Correct. So yeah, the only thing that's going to stop you really doing that is yourself. You can take tiny increments whenever you want.
That actually fits in perfect with my next one, which
Surprise, surprise.
there is more than one way to solve a puzzle.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think that needs a lot of explanation. I think
No.
it pretty much speaks for itself.
Yeah.
That, you can be creative.
And we'll share so many different tools here for people to use, so many different ways of looking at things.
Absolutely. Make sure you subscribe.
Yeah.
The last one for me would be a lesson really that I've deepened into and continue to again is self-leadership and, asking yourself better questions. So when you come up against a limit or that feeling, whether it's a mindset limit, whether it's that feeling of resistance kind of in your body about a situation, it is looking at it from a different lens, giving it a different texture. How can you lead yourself out of that situation? What is the solution? Being solutions focused. Yeah, and moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there is a power in conscious choice. And I think that we sometimes forget that we actually have that power. We often deflect that to somebody else or give that away.
Yes.
Or, I remember for me, a realization that I had was just this light bulb moment of people, and I reflected this in a conversation with a friend when we were talking about it, is when we kind of like leave home, we go into this independence, but we've also been under that caretaker's home for such a long time that we often have that protection. And so when we leave, we forget that we're completely responsible for ourselves in all aspects, all ways, our thinking, our resolve, and the outcomes. Even though we can't always control the outcomes, we can control the way that we move the needle forward, the way that we receive that fail forward. What's the lesson we can learn and continue to move that needle forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I think some powerful life lessons there.
Are there any life lessons? What's the one most potent thing that you have learnt about yourself or that you've reflected on in the past year, we would love to know in the comments, or head to our Instagrams and drop us a DM. We would love to hear from you. But otherwise, thank you for watching, listening, and subscribing. This is the Bear Collective podcast. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.
Bye.